Oh, hi there, and welcome to StoryStream, the Vancouver Public Library's story time for adults. My name is Jonna, and today I'm coming to you from beautiful Level 9, the rooftop garden at the Central Library at 350 West Georgia. This location of the library, as well as all 21 of our locations, are located on the unceded and traditional territories of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh people. The Vancouver Public Library Indigenous Storyteller in Residence program was created in 2008 in recognition of Indigenous peoples in Canada and the importance of storytelling as a way to learn about and from Indigenous communities in Vancouver. Through the Storyteller in Residence, we seek to honor Indigenous cultures and to promote intercultural understanding and communication. Storytelling can happen in a variety of different mediums and narrative practices, and therefore, the residency is open to all Indigenous storytellers who wish to share their knowledge and history. Past storytellers include Les George, Eden Fine Day, Kung Jadi, Nova Wypert, Jules Custoitian, and many more. Find a complete list and watch replays of programs at vpl.ca. The Vancouver Public Library recognizes that sincere action to decolonize our practices and to center Indigenous knowledge systems and cultural practices is needed. The Indigenous Storyteller in Residence program is essential to the library's public programming. The 2024 Indigenous Storyteller in Residence is Joseph Kakwinokanasum. Joseph is a member of the James Smith Cree Nation and grew up in the Peace region of northern British Columbia. His debut novel, My Indian Summer, is loosely based on his own childhood and was the winner of the 2023-2024 First Nations Communities Read Award and shortlisted for the 2023 ReLit Award for Fiction. Other accolades include being named one of the Writers' Trust of Canada's Rising Stars of 2022, and he was a finalist for the CBC Nonfiction Prize in 2020. In his role as the Indigenous Storyteller in Residence, Joseph spent part of his time developing a new writing project, which is going to be a dark, gritty horror fantasy that builds upon some of the Indigenous ghost stories he learned as a child. Joseph also hosted writing workshops, consults, appeared at book clubs, and many other events to support emerging writers and storytellers in developing their craft. Without further ado, please enjoy this short story by Joseph Kakwinokanasum.
Hello, my name is Joseph Kakwinokanasum. I am the 2024 Indigenous Storyteller in Residence at Vancouver Public Library. And today, I'll be reading you part of the first chapter of my novel, My Indian Summer, published by Tidewater Press. Hunter awoke exhausted. He'd been running in his sleep, his socks furled at his heels, his jeans rolled to his knees. In the dark, the bright red digits from his alarm clock shone, 4:03 a.m. The house slept. He threw the thin blanket back, sat up, smelled perspiration as he straightened his stained shirt and slipped into his shoes. At the foot of his bed, he kneeled and pulled back the cover and sheet to expose the mattress where a small tear gaped like a mouth. Reaching in, he hooked a string and drew out a purple and gold Crown Royal bag. He gave it a shake. It jingled and chimed like silver change in an old man's pocket. Hunter smiled, stuffed it back in its hiding place, and made the bed. Grabbing his coat from a nail set in the wall, Hunter felt the weight of his rifle's bolt in the side pocket. He pulled his canvas backpack from under the bed and slid into it as he climbed the steps out of the basement, careful not to wake Noah. Noah had showed up yesterday with a wad of cash, home from fighting fires. His contract complete, Hunter had returned from scavenging bottles to find Noah standing in the kitchen, demanding and arrogant, mean and nasty. Same old. His brother had looked down at him, expressionless. His eyes dark pits. Where's Margaret? I don't know. Gone for a while now. Hunter stepped back. Noah matched Hunter step for step until Hunter was forced into the corner against the cupboards and the countertops. I'm beat. Better have this place spick and span when I get up, faggot. I'll kick your fucking head in. Get it, retard? Noah lifted his hand to strike his brother. Hunter flinched, instinctively raising his arms and hands over his head, slamming his eyes shut, clenching his jaw, readying his muscles for impact. Nothing. Hunter peeked with one eye. Noah stood. The look of disgust on his face changed to anger. Noah yelled, "Move, move, move!" Spit hit Hunter's forehead. He scurried between Noah and the counter to the closet where the mop and the pail and the broom were located. Noah followed closely behind, snapping his fingers, yelling, "Hurry, hurry, hurry!" All the way from the closet to the kitchen, Noah pressed Hunter. "Quick, quick, quick! Mom comes home, you'll be in deep shit." He cleaned while Noah slept. At least it was easier now for Hunter to avoid him, since Noah had moved out of the basement they'd shared and taken over Deb's room upstairs. Hunter missed his sister. Upstairs, empty and half-drunk bottles of liquor, beer, and cheap wine occupied almost every piece of real estate on the kitchen countertop. Last night's party had been a prelude to the Labor Day weekend celebrations, and Hunter expected it to get much worse. A lump of rage slid up his throat and stuck in his craw. Ever since Deb had left, Hunter had to do double his efforts to keep the house clean. "Nope," he said under his breath. "I got better things to do than clean up after your goddamn mess, woman." He pulled a thermos from the cupboard and put the kettle on for tea. He looked at the calendar. Friday, August 31st, 1979. Hunter was staring down the barrel of September. He made his tea strong, sprinkled in powdered milk and several heaped tablespoons of white sugar. He fastened the lid of the thermos, shook it vigorously, and put it in his backpack. Breakfast. Outside, Hunter walked to the backyard shed. The chill in the air condensed his breath into little clouds that rose and dissipated as he exhaled. His fingers not quite awake, he fumbled with the padlock. Inside the shed, in the corner under an old burlap potato sack, leaned his .22 caliber rifle. He slung it over his shoulder, locked the shed, and walked southwest towards his trap line. Hunter crossed the quiet streets of Red Rock, where 300 farmers, natives, and war vets lived in relative harmony. When he got to the highway, the main road through town, he looked both ways. Across the paved main road, hanging from opposing street posts, was a red and white canvas banner advertising the celebrations. Annual Red Rock Labor Day weekend, Friday, August 31st to Monday, September 3rd. A little motorhome, a Greyhound bus, and a semi rolled through the blink and you'll miss it village. The highway was always busy, but slowed to the town speed limit of 30. Eddies of gasoline and diesel fumes mixed in a wind blast that carried a fine grit. Hunter turned away. The neighborhood was mostly post-war ranchers infiltrated by some mobile homes. Some yards were manicured, others were neglected and ragged. When he reached the bridge across the Red Rock River, he scrambled down the steep bank, and turned left away from town towards a dark forest that marked the head of his trap line. He closed his eyes, breathed deeply, somewhere between the kitchen and the edge of the woods, he'd lost his anger. Hunter unslung his rifle, fished in his coat pocket for the rifle bolt, then slid it into the breech. He loaded it with a .22 caliber long cartridge and made sure the safety was on. Then he reslung the gun over his shoulder and disappeared into the forest, through the trees gently, toe heel, toe heel. He watched where he stepped, looked ahead, nothing in his hands, felt where he was going with his feet and his eyes. The old rifle bounced off his hip as he walked. Uncle Howard had given it to him last summer after his first kill. Uncle Howard wasn't really his uncle, just a drinking buddy of his mom's. He was 6'5", 230 pounds. The locals joked that he was FBI, fucking big Indian. But he'd always been good to Hunter. Songbirds, magpies, ravens, and sometimes an owl swooped about, singing, calling, communicating. Morning coming, chipmunks worked busily, storing, preparing, chattering. Winter is coming. Hunter scanned from left to right, up and down, stopping now and again, smelling cool air, the dryness in the back of his throat. Hunter crouched, unslung his rifle, and leaned it against a poplar tree. From the pack, he drew his tea, removed the screw-top lid, and poured himself a cup. He replaced the lid and blew the steam that rose from the top of the cup, taking small sips at first. Above, the thick forest canopy was dry, parched. Forest floor crunched under his feet. A chill gust lifted dust into the dry rustle of fluttering leaves. Hunter breathed deeply again and tasted it. Fall, winter. From the east, the sun's pale light washed the sky, stars a faint glimmer. Hunter picked up his pace, looking left to right, always searching for danger. He checked his snares and kept an eye out for grouse. He loved the forest, even more now that it was a source of money. There weren't a lot of income opportunities for a smaller than average 12-year-old Apitogasin, his mother called him, half-breed. On one of their hunting trips the year before, Hunter and Uncle Howard shot no grouse, but bagged a couple of rabbits. Namagigwe, but a couple of wapus, Howard said. Take those pelts to the Indian ladies at the edge of town. They'll give you some sunyao for your nice rabbit pelt. Tell them Howard sent you. That was the beginning of Hunter's business with the Kookums. The three elders ran a clothing business out of 3 small trailers grouped together near the highway on the northwestern outskirts of Red Rock. 2 were for accommodation, and the third, well, that was their workshop, where they made mitts, jackets, items that appealed to natives and tourists alike. It is Ipiwisiwin, Wichigaiden, Donna had explained to Hunter last year. That's when the Kookums first became his regular customers. This is our resistance clothing, baby boy. The rabbit meant food and money for Hunter. The Kookums fed him rabbit stew and bannock. They used every bit of what Hunter brought them, wasting nothing. Rabbit fur trimmed cuffs, sleeves, and jacket hoods. The decorative grouse feathers were sewn into the beadwork for ceremonial headdresses or made into fans used in dances at the powwows. 2 birds, 1 stone, Uncle Howard liked to say. Hunter was at the furthest reaches of his trap line, some 5 kilometers southwest of Red Rock. He'd caught 2 fat rabbits, one at each end of his line. He left an offering of tobacco for the rabbit, spirits, and from a leather pouch that Maud, the eldest of the grandmothers, had given him. She handed him the gift, saying, "Here, then, come on, hold on to this. Hold it open." Hunter held it open wide, and Maud filled it with tobacco from a can on the table. "That way Rabbit will come back and continue to feed and clothe us," said Maud. With a long strip of leather, he tied the 2 rabbits at the hind legs and swung them over his left shoulder. On the way out, he watched for grouse, disassembled his snares, and hung them around his left belt loop. The next time he came out, it would likely snow, and he didn't want to lose them. Halfway back, he spotted a grouse, its variegated feathers near perfect camouflage. If it hadn't turned his head, he would have missed it. The bird spotted Hunter. It froze. Hunter knelt, slipped off his rifle, and wrapped the sling, steady sling fashion. Left arm through the sling, around and back through the sling again. Pulling the rifle butt tight to his shoulder, he sighted the grouse, breathed deeply, and on his exhale, he pulled the trigger. Pop. The forest went quiet. Hunter approached the game, and from his pouch, he gave tobacco. What have you done for me lately? We have done book clubs. We did a talk at VGH. We've done the titles to be determined. We got another one coming up. We're going to be doing the Downtown East Side Writers. Is it a Writers Fest? Yeah, Writers Fest, and we're really looking forward to that. It's just been such a whirlwind. We've done consultations, done a whack of those. I finished a 100,000 word manuscript. I can't believe it. It's amazing what you can do when you have a completely, exclusive office space and resources and encouragement and support from the staff here at Vancouver Public Library. Couldn't have done it without you. There are some words that come into mind when I think about, the residency and gratitude, joy. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. I finished one project and I've started the next one, so I'm just tickled pink. I was talking to a colleague yesterday about the value of libraries and how libraries have been with us since man has learned to read and write. I believe that libraries are the center of any civilization, any successful civilization. They represent community, they represent knowledge, they represent freedom. There's nothing you can't ask a librarian and they will not know where to find the information. Libraries are the center of civilization. They are a pillar next to social welfare, healthcare. Libraries are one of the main pillars of our society, and I honestly believe that. Like, it's any successful society has to have a library in it. Alexander had them, we have them, the Romans had them, the Greeks had them, the Mesopotamians had them. Everybody's had, throughout human history, has had a library. So I think that's pretty amazing. I think I can. I can try. Victor Stormcloud is an anti-hero, Wendigo. He is a good guy doing bad things for all the right reasons. He is timeless, he is ageless, he doesn't die. He's like every DC comic hero that you've ever seen, 10 times better though, because he's Cree. But he goes around, he's been cursed essentially, and he moves through time. He eats his way through wars, he eats his way through churches, he eats his way through police stations. Like, I mean, he eats everybody who is bad. And the worse these people are, the better they taste. Like a fine marbled roast, you know? He doesn't like eating children, and he doesn't like eating really good people because they're just not quite ripe enough. And there's something foul about the way they taste. So, yeah, what can I say about him? He's a Wendigo that travels through time, exacting justice on bad people. You know, he does what every anti-hero is supposed to do, right? Kill people in terrible ways for the good of humanity.